long is that drive from Dallas to Galveston?
Longer than we thought it was. I realized as we're driving down there that it had been quite some time since we'd driven 4.5 hours in the car. So it was a long drive. We stopped at several Buc-ee's. Yes, yeah. It was my first time to stop at a Buc-ee's, and I'm glad I experienced it. I don't know if I would call myself a Buc-ee's fan, but their bathrooms are clean.
Well, that's important.
And that was nice.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the DCL Duo podcast brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. I am your host today, Sam. Brian is unfortunately unable to join me for today's recording, but I am super excited to welcome back a returning guest to the show. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's so lovely to have you back, and it hasn't been that long. I feel like it was just yesterday I was recording with you the last time.
It feels that way to me as well, but it was a couple of months ago. So
yeah. Well, Andy, before we jump into talking about today's show topic, which is your cruise on the Disney Magic out of Galveston with a little concierge bonus, but why don't you give folks your cruising background, Disney background, just remind folks of your connection to Disney.
We are majority. Okay, I'm stumbling on my words already. Walt Disney World goers. We are DVC owners, so we go there pretty often. However, we do also go to California quite a bit. So that's kind of our Disney love. We just are recently Disney cruisers as well. We went on our very first Disney cruise in June of 2025. We took the whole family on that cruise. So there were 11 of us total. And then the bug bit, and I was like, why haven't we done this before? I'd been on a few other cruise lines, but nothing compares to Disney. And my daughter and I went on the Wish in the fall, and I scheduled a cruise for my husband and I, and we did book Concierge for this trip out of Galveston. He's an airline pilot, so he actually works and flies out of Dallas and has a car there. So I was like, oh, this will work out perfect. We'll drive from Dallas down to Galveston and get on the Magic and have a wonderful time. It was his birthday, so it was a fun celebration.
I love that. That's awesome. Now, did you book this cruise because it was out of Galveston, because it was on the Magic, because, what were sort of the criteria you were looking at when you were deciding to book? Because this one, obviously, you mentioned your first cruise was multi-generational, all the kids, everybody came. And then your second cruise was just you and your daughter. And then this cruise is just you and your husband. What were you looking for when you decided to book this cruise in particular?
I've heard you use this term before. I would say I'm a completionist. My goal is to sail on all of the ships. I don't know if I'll get the adventure, maybe someday. I don't see myself flying that far right now, only because we're on the East Coast. I can't imagine a flight to Singapore. But it was an easy way to get on the Magic at the time. I won't say the itinerary appealed to me, but the itinerary was nice. I liked the idea that there were 2 sea days. I had not been to the Progreso, Mexico port. And so, I wanted something that was at least 5 nights, and it worked out well.
Perfect. Now, was this a Marvel Day at Sea cruise also? And did that factor in, or was that something that sort of got added in later?
That got added in later. We did not know it was a Marvel Day at Sea. We got notified maybe 6 months ago that it would be Marvel Day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always think it's, how Disney does not seem to release those themes for Pixar and Marvel until months after booking has opened. And I get, it helps them fill the ship with those later bookings, but I think it would be smart if they sort of advertise it from the get-go, because there are probably people who would choose certain cruises based on, that overlay of theming. And there might be other people who might perhaps choose a sailing that wasn't a themed sailing because they just want, because it does mean that day is taken over that first sea day is sort of taken over by Marvel activities and characters. And if you want just sort of the standard cruise stuff, some of that stuff will not, I wouldn't say not be available, but it will be themed Marvel instead of, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
And I would say, given all things are equal, I probably wouldn't have chosen a Marvel day at sea. I like Marvel. I've enjoyed it, and we did enjoy the Marvel aspect of the theming, but it wasn't what made me choose the cruise at all.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you had port stops in Cozumel and Progresso for this sailing. I'm curious for you were obviously, you sailed Concierge for the first time. So you were able to send in an email to Shoreside Concierge at, what is it, 130 days in advance of your sailing to say, hey, concierge, I want to book the following, excursions. I want to book the following Palo brunch or Palo dinner. I want to book the following drink tastings or any of the other things that are available to sort of pre-book. What, if anything, did you ask to pre-book? And I'm sure this is the one benefit of concierge. I'm sure you got whatever you asked for because you're the first group for booking. Nobody else has booking ahead of you. And obviously this wasn't a sailing that went to Castaway or Lookout. So there were no cabanas to be, sort of
Right,
gambled on.
right. Which, darn it, I would have loved
Yeah,
that
that'd be nice.
opportunity.
Yeah.
But we did send in the email. It's a learning curve being new to cruising with Disney, and I did get an email saying you can send in an email, but I really wasn't sure what to ask for. However, I knew I wanted Palo brunch. I knew I wanted prima notte, and I wanted a Palo dinner. So I booked all three of those. And then
Did
we
you tell them
also,
what particular days you wanted those on and what approximate times you wanted as far as those experiences?
yes, I gave them kind of options to fill it in as well, though. I did request the Palo brunch to be either sea day. I didn't care which. I asked for our Palo dinner to be the last night because that was the night closest to my husband's birthday. His birthday is actually today, but it was the end of our sailings when we celebrated it. So, and then the prima notte, that is the first night.
Right,
So
first night,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It literally means first night in Italian, prima notte.
exactly.
And
I
so,
would
yeah.
one of how do I put this? One of my thing to note for people who have not sailed a lot with Disney, item of note, I guess you'd call it. It's really difficult, especially those who don't know a lot about cruising, to know you don't know your dinner rotation until you get there. So, what night do you book your things? And, doing prima notte, I'd never been on the Magic before, but I knew I wanted to do it. However, I had no idea that that was the night they showed Rapunzel in the Tangled show. And since we had late night dining, our 6:45 prima notte bumped right up against the Tangled show, so we didn't make it to that. And being that the Magic is the only ship that has that show, we didn't get to see it, and we'll just have to wait until we get back on the Magic someday before we can, hopefully. And I also, one other kind of oddity for us was, I figured the regular menu or regular show for the restaurants would be the first night that we dined there. And that was not the case for the restaurant Lumiere's. Lumiere's is the restaurant that's on the main floor of the atrium, and we dined there our first evening, but it wasn't the normal menu.
You got the second menu instead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
So
know
I
that's,
missed that our last night of the cruise because we had Palo,
oh, because you
but
had
I didn't
Palo.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's the one thing I will say is your best option when you're sailing concierge, you have a little bit of a leg up on the competition because you can ask shoreside concierge, hey, can you tell me what the dining rotation options are? And can you tell me what the show schedule is? Now, all of these things are subject to change. but you can usually get an idea ahead of time. Now, it might not be though when your booking window opens, right? They might not be able to tell you that they probably won't be able to tell you the show schedule yet, but they will be able to tell you the dining rotation schedule at that time. So there is some sort of, some gambling you have to do. The one pro tip I will give you, Andy, and those obviously listening, is if you are sailing concierge and you did make that, a bit of a gamble, when you're on board, you actually can make a lot of changes, right? Like you can speak to the concierge hosts and change things like your dining rotation or when your Palo reservations are. You have a better chance of being able to move those things than your average cruiser because you're at the front of the line for all of those things. And so that's my tip. I think it's hard to do a lot of pre-planning for the adult dining because of those sort of uncertainties. I guess my best advice would be if you want to do prima notte on, which is always the first night, um, and you want to see the show, then plan on skipping your main dining. And I know that's kind of hard because then you're not meeting your wait staff, but it's really the only way to guarantee you'll be able to do both the show and prima notte. And you can just do the show opposite when your prima notte is. And I actually recommend doing the later prima notte because then you have really no conflict with the show. You can see the early show, the later prima notte. You even might have time to stop by your dining rotation to meet your servers. So that's the tip I'll give. But of course, that's late and not everybody wants to do it that way. And,
Right. And I think that for us, I didn't realize really until probably the fourth night of our cruise that I had that flexibility to ask concierge, we have an issue, help.
yeah.
I went to guest services with an issue instead of concierge
No,
and
Andy,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I've learned now and
Yeah.
I will say, once you've sailed concierge, you go, "Oh my gosh, when can we do that again?" Now, it's not going to be every sailing for sure, but yeah, I will have another opportunity someday.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the biggest tip I can give for anyone who is sailing concierge is you never should have to go to guest services. You always just go to the concierge. Now you can if you're having an issue in the middle of the night. Of course, the hosts are not on duty; they're sleeping. There's nobody manning the lounge. The lounge is closed. That would be the time to go to guest services or call guest services, right? But during the daytime hours up until 10 p.m., always go to the concierge host because they are your guest services. Basically, they can do all of the same things. They can work with you to get spa appointments moved, things like that, dinner rotations, move things like that, and of course, adult dining. It is hard to map out. I will say I try to find out, even if I'm not sailing concierge, which we only sail every once in a while in concierge. Most of our sailings are in regular ocean view stateroom, not even with a veranda. We like that stateroom. But I will try and find out what the dining rotations are through the Facebook group because usually there's somebody in the Facebook group or in one, in the sailing Facebook group that is sailing concierge and they can find out and then they'll share that information and that will help me map out where I want to do my adult dining, right? Like which night and I'll figure out which dining rotation to request. I am one of those people who am almost always requesting a specific dining rotation. I'm probably the annoying ones that Disney hates to deal with because it just means they've got to do more more Tetris, right? But I will say one of the benefits of concierge, you can get a lot of that information ahead of time and do a little bit more strategic planning and less waiting in line on board to kind of readjust things.
Right, right. And I think that I feel like I'm a little bit slow on the uptake with that because I the same way learning Walt Disney World, I feel like it took me 4 or 5 trips to finally go, oh, wait a minute. Let's map out the park. Let's figure out we're going to dine here. We're going to go to that ride. We're going to go to this ride. And rather than jumping all over the park. And so, yeah,
No, I
I'll get there.
totally understand that. This is like what I'm talking about is like pro level planning. Most people are not at that pro level planning. Most cruisers are more go with the flow, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of like how much I am very particular about what dining we miss and what dining we attend. And I want to like make sure I go to I don't want to miss drawing night in Animator's Palette, right? Like I don't want to miss the show in Rapunzel's, right? So I can miss a night in Lumiere's, but I don't want to miss a night in Rapunzel's. So so there's things like that you can kind of do for planning. All right. Well, you still of course got all the things you requested ahead of time. Now, did you book any port excursions?
We went on a beach day port excursion in Progresso. Most of the excursions for Progresso were to go to a cenote for snorkeling or Chichen Itza, which is the Mayan ruins there. And my family is from Mexico, and so I've been to Chichen Itza several times. I've actually climbed that pyramid because you used to be able to do that many, many, many years ago. And so I would have enjoyed it, but it was a long bus ride. And so we decided that the theme of this trip was relaxation. And so we did the beach day. I think that the Progresso Beach Day was not exactly what I thought it would be. It wasn't quite as nice. I mean, we had a great time. The staff was lovely. The person who was our leader on the bus was friendly, gave us education on the way there. When you read the description of it, it sounds like it's going to be this really nice, high class locale, and it just didn't feel that way. The pools were a little small and a little dingy, and the beach itself was kind of a little covered in seaweed, which a lot of them have been recently in the Caribbean. And yeah, it was okay. We had a good time. We enjoyed it. The drinks were plentiful. They came along, and yeah, and the food was good. They had like a little buffet set up for us, and it was actually quite tasty. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah. We've had, I'd say, kind of hit and miss experiences with the beach excursions as well as to like how nice the resort is. Like we've done ones in Puerto Vallarta and Mazatlan, and both times were kind of disappointed. Whereas we did one in where was that in Cozumel that we thought was nice, or like so we've had, yeah, I think it's kind of hit and miss. And one of the things, you can always give that feedback to Disney Cruise Line that, hey, this wasn't as nice of a resort as we expected it to be. Maybe you want to consider a different resort. Of course, you're right. The seaweed is something that Disney really can't control, but the niceness of the beach is there's some sort of limit of control that they have over that, except maybe, take you to a different beach.
Right, right. Yeah. I will say when we were in the Bahamas, they were having a seaweed problem, and the resort that we went to actually had us on an inner bay side of their resort, and there was no seaweed. And so it was really nice. And I appreciated that they did that. So, you know, but it was not a bad excursion. It just wasn't quite as luxurious as I thought it would be, which sounds, first world problems, really, really, really first world problems. So,
What about Cozumel? Did you all get off in Cozumel?
we did not. Now, one thing that happened before we got on the boat in Galveston, they changed our itinerary due to weather. We were initially going to go Sea Day, Cozumel, Progresso, Sea Day, and it changed to Sea Day, Progresso, Cozumel, Sea Day. And so we went to Cozumel second, and it was still quite windy. And initially we thought, oh, we'll go, but it just was still sunny. It was pretty, but it was so windy. We just decided to stay on the boat and have another sea day, and really enjoyed it. Like I said, we did a lot of relaxing things. We spent quite a bit of time in the spa. So Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me back up because I jumped, of course, ahead to the ports, but we haven't even talked about embarkation and embarkation day. So I want to jump back to boarding. First of all, you flew to Dallas, where your husband as a pilot is based, and drove all the way. How long is that drive from Dallas to Galveston?
Longer than we thought it was. I realized as we're driving down there that it had been quite some time since we'd driven 4.5 hours in the car. We just used to do it all the time when we were younger, take a road trip here and there, but it was a little bit longer in Dallas. Dallas to Galveston, there's not a lot in between until you hit Houston. So it was a long drive. We stopped at several Buc-ee's. Yes, yeah. It was my first time to stop at a Buc-ee's, and I'm glad I experienced it. I don't know if I would call myself a Buc-ee's fan, but their bathrooms are clean,
Well, that's important.
and that was nice. Yeah.
That's important. Now, did you drive to Dallas or from Dallas to Galveston like the morning of the cruise, or I'm imagining the day before the cruise?
We went in the day before and we stayed in an old historic hotel in downtown Galveston called the Tremont House. Very nice place. We really enjoyed the stay there. The staff was lovely. That we had breakfast the next morning through the hotel, and we had dinner that night prior at Fisherman's Wharf, which was, I would say, maybe a 5 to 7 minute walk from our hotel, which is right next to the port. So it was perfect location, and the food there was yummy. So we had a good time.
What did you think of sort of that downtown Galveston? I've actually heard people compare it to like a New Orleans, like a kind of a cute little southern. I don't know what
Yeah,
little.
it definitely has that Cajun flair. It's most of the Gulf Coast does. I really did enjoy it. My parents moved to Louisiana after I graduated high school and lived in Louisiana for, oh gosh, 30 plus years. And so it was really nice. One of the things that we went to Fisherman's Wharf, and neither of us wanted to order a catfish dinner, but we both wanted a little catfish just because it'd been so long since I'd had good Gulf Coast catfish. So we asked them if they could make a bring us a fillet of catfish as an appetizer, just one.
Oh
We didn't want
yeah,
the whole
yeah, just
dinner.
to
We just
share.
wanted
Yeah,
yeah, and they
little
did. So it was
taste.
perfect. It was
Oh,
like,
that's
yeah,
lovely. Yeah.
yeah.
That
So it
is
was
one of
nice.
those things where if you're on the Gulf Coast, I feel like you gotta sample a little bit of
Oh yeah, yeah.
that good
It
stuff.
looked like they had, it was after Mardi Gras, but it looked like that they had Mardi Gras celebrations downtown, and it's really lots of cute little shops, and it definitely has the French influence and the buildings, and yeah, no,
Yeah, all the metal work with the
right.
balconies and the
Hmm.
beautiful ironwork and all of that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cute little town. I would have loved to have spent a little more time there, maybe some other time, but I think I might fly into Houston next time though, because that was quite a drive. I don't know that it was worth having the car there.
Right. Well, and Houston is only like an hour and a half away or whatnot, and you can take Disney transportation, or you can, of course, rent a car in Houston. That's probably the smarter. I mean, unless you live in Dallas, right, and then you, of course, are going to drive. It's probably smarter to just fly to Houston and
Yeah.
not
I would
and rent
recommend
a car.
that for anyone considering a cruise out of Galveston, fly in Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you really want to hit a bunch of different Buc-ee's, and then I guess
Yeah.
take a 4.5 hour
Exactly.
drive.
Exactly. Yeah. You
All
will
right.
see
Well,
plenty.
yeah. Well, okay. Boarding day comes, embarkation day. Did you guys drive your own car to the port and park at the port? Yeah. How was that experience? Is it easy?
Very easy. Now, we never drive in Florida because we always have to fly in as well. So I can't compare the two, but it seemed because we were concierge, we were early in the day, but we drove up, we dropped our bags off. Luckily, they told us, "Hey, you have to stop and drop your bags." One of the people working the parking said, "Go this way so you can drop your bags first." And the express lot of the Port of Galveston is literally right in front of Port 28, which is where the ship docks, and it was you park your car, and I would say we were a block, half a block from the ship itself. It was so easy to get in and perfect. I took tons of pictures there. I was like, I can't believe how close we are. And then going in, everything went very smoothly. We immediately were taken to the concierge sitting area. We took our boarding picture that you can take with the little sign that says we're going on the Magic. And we were on the ship probably before 11 a.m.
Oh,
Was,
wow, super
yeah.
early. So they must have had a quick, debark from the whatever cruise had preceded your cruise. But yeah, just a pro tip out there for anyone who's driving really to any of the ports that Disney sails out of, you are gonna drop off your luggage before you park your car, and that's the same at, Fort Lauderdale, it's the same at Port Canaveral, it's the same at San Diego, Vancouver. I mean, any of the places that I have sailed out of, I know that's the way that you do it. I don't know if that's the case in Europe. That I can't really answer that question, but in any of the places that Disney sails out of in the U.S. or in Vancouver, Canada, you're dropping off your luggage before you park your car at the port. If you're coming from a local hotel or whatnot, obviously you're transferring with your luggage, then you'll get dropped off with your luggage at the same time. Yeah, yeah. All right, so you get on, wow, before 11. Um,
Oh,
now
I think we were like the fourth family on the ship. It was pretty amazing. I know the family of the day went on, and then we got in line, and there were a few people ahead of us, but the way they funnel you in, we were right up there. I couldn't believe it.
Nice. All right. Well, you give them your family name and you're announced into the atrium of the beautiful Disney Magic, the original, the oldest but an original ship in the Disney fleet. What did you think of the atrium? You had only been on larger ships. You had only been on, you'd been on the Dream and you'd been on the Wish, which of course Wish is much bigger in the just the atrium. The Grand Hall is much larger, but you're familiar with the Dream, and so the Dream
Oh no, we haven't been on the Dream. We were on the Treasure,
oh, the
and the
Treasure,
Treasure.
that's right, I don't
Yeah,
know why I was thinking
yeah.
it was the Dream. Oh my gosh, so you actually were yeah, so you're probably in shock.
It
You
was a
like
little bit of size shock, but at the same time, it was beautiful. Minnie Mouse was right there on the little balcony, and the elevators right there with all the gold on the front. Yeah, oh, just go, yeah, the glass and the gold scroll work. It was beautiful. So it was thrilling to walk in, and everyone was so friendly.
oh, good, and you weren't like, "Oh my god, this is tiny," when you saw it compared to the Treasure and the Wish,
It
or
was
were
a
you
little bit, wow, this is small, but at the same time, it was exactly the cruise we were kind of hoping for. It was just perfect. It was just perfect to walk in, and yeah,
I love that. Okay, so I'm assuming you're headed straight to Lumiere's for lunch?
yeah, yeah. They kind of guided us straight there. And there are two entrances, so we went off to the side entrance into Lumiere's. Yeah, and we're seated right away.
For embarkation day for lunch on the classic ships, the concierge folks are in Lumiere's or Tritons, depending upon if they're in the Magic or the Wonder, and then everyone else, if you want to do sit down lunch, you're either heading to Tiana's or Rapunzel's for that sit down lunch, that first lunch, and that first lunch includes bubbly and beer if you want it. I think there might be wine options as well.
I believe there was wine because I believe I had a glass of wine. Or it could have been no, it might have been champagne, but I think wine was an option as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they have, like,
yeah.
1 red, 1 white, 1 it's actually, I think, prosecco, but bubbly, and then a couple of beer options, for that lunch, and that's included if you're sailing concierge. Obviously, if you're not sailing concierge, it's not included, and it's only that embarkation day lunch, and then, of course, in the lounge from 5 to 10 PM. What now, I can't remember if you had done sit-down lunch on your previous sailings or if you had done the buffet lunch.
We did the buffet lunch on our first sailing with the huge group, and then my daughter and I actually did sit down lunch. I don't know if I had heard it through your podcast, but probably your YouTube video. We get out our phones and start scrolling. What's going on the ship? And it's the perfect thing to do when you're at sit down lunch and you're not having to walk around and find your food and then find a table and
Absolutely. And you don't have kids with you, so you can have that leisurely, slow lunch versus when you're with a bigger group or and you've got kids with you and everybody's wanting to go every which way, probably that buffet is the easier option. But yeah, I love sit down lunch. You get on your phone, you start hearting the different activities in the Disney Navigator app and deciding, okay, what's our plan of attack? And then, of course, because you were at Concierge Lunch, you got to meet your host for the very first time. Did they come around and introduce themselves, or at least one of them?
yes, yes. We had two hosts, Diogo from where was he from? He said it was Diogo like Diego, but it was Diogo from Portugal. And then the other was Mariella from Bulgaria. Yeah.
I love Mariella. I know her.
She was amazing. Yes, they both were so nice and generous and helpful, and I just fabulous. They were perfect for the job. We didn't meet Mariella till later that afternoon in the lounge, but Diogo came by really kind of briefly. Did you have any issues? Did you need to change anything? And we didn't at the time know that we did. Didn't know we needed to, or would have thought that we could. But they also had the spa team come in and ask about scheduling different things, and we did.
And you did. I gotta hear, Andy, it sounds like you guys had spent quite a bit of time in the spa, at least that you've given me that impression.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a little more than I thought we would, but
How many services did you do, and how many did your husband do, and
well,
which ones
that's
did
the
you do?
funny part.
Was it all you?
I you know, I had planned already that he was going to do a shave and I was going to do a pedicure prior to our on the first day of the cruise. And so those are the two things that we knew we had scheduled. And then the massage or the spa hostess who came and spoke with us spoke about this treatment they have called thermage, which is a facial treatment. Now, when you're on your upper end of your 50s, you kind of go, okay, that sounds exciting. Let's do that. Um, so
There's a
it's it,
sucker born every minute, Andy.
I know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I totally bit off on it, and I was like, yes, I want to do that. And it's a treatment where they reinvigorate, I guess, I don't know, reactivate your collagen. Well, it's reactivating the collagen in your skin, and it takes effect over the next several months and lasts for 3 to 5 years, according to the doctor who did it on the show. It was fun. I was like, this is a treat. What am I doing? Who am I? But because I was doing something, my husband was like, well, what
Well, I
about
guess
me?
what about me? Me
Yeah.
too.
And when he was getting his shave, they told him that they had a special going where if you bought two treatments, you'd get one free or 50% off or something like that. So he was like, well, I'd kind of like a haircut. So he got his shave and his haircut. And then he did I want to say a massage. Yeah, a massage and then a teeth whitening. And so,
Oh, I have
yeah.
not heard about anybody doing a teeth whitening on the ship. What did he think of it?
He really enjoyed it, and came out with a little kit for 2 weeks more of treatments to do afterwards. But yeah, he had a blast. He enjoyed it very much, and so our most of our afternoon of this first sea day, which was also Marvel Day, was spent in the spa. But we had a blast. I mean, it was fun. I felt a little, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this for thermage because it is not inexpensive.
Yeah, it's not an inexpensive treatment in the spa.
No, but it
Yeah.
was fun. I'm glad I did it. And I was like, the doctor was like looking at my husband going, you should consider doing this next cruise.
Oh, I
But
love
yeah.
that. That's
Yeah, but it
hilarious.
was fun. Yeah.
I love that you guys decided to start your cruise with a spa treatment because I personally think it's such a great start to a cruise to kind of get in that vacation mode, right? It kind of helps you. Brian always likes to start with that shave. He loves the men's shave. It's more of like it's like a men's facial. I mean, they call it a men's shave, but it really is a men's facial because they'll They will shave you, of course, but you don't have to get, like, the straight razor shave. Brian does not do that because he has sensitive skin, and so he'll end up with literally, like, you know, really bad, like, a rug burn on his face if he does that. But they do a really nice, yeah, facial treatment. I always love going in while he's getting that treatment and taking of just pictures of him with the towels all on his face and whatnot. It's fun. Okay, well, so you have, you got all those things booked. You've got, of course, a lot of you said your first sea day, your first full sea day, which is the next day, is Marvel Day at Sea. It wasn't, of course, the reason that attracted you to this cruise. It wasn't the reason for you to book this cruise. Did you do any of the Marvel activities? I know you had a bunch of spa time in the afternoon, so that would have obviously interrupted your ability to do some of those Marvel things.
We did a little bit. We wore matching shirts from the Roosevelt shirts that have Spider-Man and team all over it, and it was fun. And we got pictures taken with I like set up ahead of time where they had them in a room. We had Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Iron Man. And, honestly, it's kind of one of the first times I've done that for me. You see all these people in line with all these kids. And the closer I got to the front of the line, the more excited I got to actually do this. And, my kids' most favorite superhero when they were very young was Spider-Man. So it was amazing to be able to take a picture with him. And we chatted a little bit. Of course, he starts talking about Aunt May burning all the food at home. And I said, well, you just need to come to Ohio and eat dinner with us. I'll cook for you. And I'm laughing and you feel a little silly, but also it's so fun to kind of reconnect with your younger self a little and have fun with that.
I love that. I personally love a character interaction. I do them, Nathan is not that into the characters, so I go up and do them on my own or I'll do them with Brian. And I feel the same way, Andy. I feel like it just transports me into like a child version of myself. And I think it's really fun to have those interactions and to see like the way that they like improv, right? Like these character, especially the face characters, because obviously the ones with the heads can't talk to you, but the face characters can all talk to you, and so they can really interact. Although I'll be honest, I'm amazed with how well Mickey and Minnie and Daisy and all the yeah, the way they pantomime, like it's pretty incredible. But yeah, I always love those interactions. I think they're super fun. And so when you're mentioning the ticketed events, so you just for those who are listening, if you haven't been on a Marvel Day at Sea or Pixar Day at Sea or other sort of themed cruise that has so I'll call them reservations or ticketed character meet and greets. And these also happen on regular cruises, just though the Royal Gathering, which is a princess meet and greet. At 30 days before your cruise, you can book through the app these sort of ticketed meet and greets. They are free, they don't cost anything, but they do require a reservation and for everyone in your party that is going to meet the character. So it's not like I make a reservation for myself and I can bring Brian with me. No, I've got to make a reservation that's for me and Brian or me, Brian and Nathan. And then you get to go meet the characters at a particular location at a particular time. And there's usually like a I don't know, 30-minute window or 45-minute window of when your sort of time slot is. And there are lines you are going to wait in a queue, but it's not going to be like at the parks where you're waiting for 2 hours to meet Elsa and Anna. You may be waiting 20 minutes for most of these. And like you said, Andy, this one is one where you're meeting multiple characters. And that's usually the ticketed events usually involve like 3 or 4 characters.
There were more than one that you could sign up for, but I feel like you could only sign up for one. I don't know what I don't remember exactly, but I remember going, who do I want to meet? Do I want to meet Spider-Man or do I want to meet the Marvel team? I think was the other one, like Guardians of the Galaxy or something of that sort. Or event. Yeah, I don't
I wonder
remember.
if
I
they
just remember.
Yeah, I wonder if they conflicted in times because usually you can't book the same one twice, but usually you could book the different ones as long as they don't conflict in time, but
And,
who knows?
that could have been it, and I misread it, who knows? But I only booked the one, and I was thrilled. It was a really neat with Spider-Man, and then, Black Panther, right after us, he left. He was kinda quick. He was like, "Let's take our picture," and he was out of there. And then Iron Man asked me who my favorite superhero was when I walked up, and I told him Spider-Man.
Oh, that was the wrong answer, Andy.
Oh, he just loved that. Yeah, he was like, "No, no." So, yeah, we had a pretty good interaction with him as well. And I was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. It's Iron Man.
It's
It's Iron
Iron
Man.
Man,
I promise."
obviously. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously Tony Stark, it's Iron Man, yeah.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in Concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
Well, let's talk about some of the other things you guys got up to on the cruise. Obviously, this was about relaxation. So I know you probably weren't running around going to every family game show and every trivia, but what were some of the highlights that you guys got to do on this sailing?
We did play some trivia. We did, we went to some of the the adult location on the Magic. It's on deck 3, kind of off to its own little area in the back, underneath the shops is how I remembered where it was. And so we went to a few of the adult, I think one was called Seriously, and you're holding shoes up in the air. So it was kind of a crazy one, but we had a couple in there who introduced themselves as friends and said that they'd booked the honeymoon but called off the wedding, and so they were just there as and the whole room just, we got to know the story. We got to know
Oh
the
my
story. So, yeah,
god,
that was fun.
that is crazy. Did you end up going to see Match Your Mate?
We did not, and I don't know how we missed it because that was on my list,
Yeah.
but
It
it
might have
must.
been,
I
like, the
mean,
first night. It might have been the first night, and you had such a busy night with your prima notte.
maybe because yes, it was like, how did I miss that? But I've got to go to it sometime. We're doing another adult cruise. We'll do it then. But
There you go, there you go. Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of when you're sailing adult only, you really can sort of take things at your own pace and do a lot of those adult only activities that you maybe aren't gonna get to do when you're sailing with, kids and
with the
grandkids and
crowd,
whatnot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was fun. We spent a lot of time in the concierge lounge, which was just wonderful. We kind of had our special table that we always sat at, and I got to know the people that work there. We met another family and chatted with them several times. It turned out kind of hilariously that they're from Ohio as well, because they're like, well, yeah, we live in Ohio, and we're like,
You're
where
like,
in
"We
Ohio?
we
Yeah.
we went all the way to Texas to meet another family
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Ohio."
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It really was nice to kind of have a place to go and know that you could grab a snack if you wanted a snack or have a drink, just soda or water to begin with, and alcoholic after 5. But I really enjoyed the use of the lounge. We spent a lot of time in there. And they did have one instance where they told us it would be one of the Fab Five, and that we should show up at X amount of time. And then they had each kind of like orderly fashion. Each table would get up and go have a picture taken, and ours just happened to be Goofy, which is my husband's
Nice.
favorite character. So it was
Oh,
perfect. It was
perfect. So for his birthday
serendipity.
celebration, you got to
Yeah.
have a meet and greet with Goofy. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice now, it's not gonna be a unique character that they bring into the concierge lounge for that one character meet and greet. It's always a Fab 5 character, and they're always gonna be in their cruise wear outfit, so they're not gonna do it on Pirate Night, they're not gonna do it on Marvel Day, it's gonna be them in their standard cruise wear outfit. But I think it's a really nice benefit because it is gonna mean you're gonna for sure get that one character, you're not gonna be waiting in a line, you're gonna be sitting, as you mentioned, they have everybody, everybody's sitting at a table or sitting at the bar in kind of an orderly fashion, and then they just go around table by table and they say, "Okay, you guys are next. You guys are next," and the hosts kind of take care of that, and it's with your own phone. It's not with a photopass photographer,
Oh,
but
but the
it's
num
really
the
nice.
number of pictures that they took, it was amazing, and the amount of time that Goofy spent with us, I mean, it wasn't a huge amount, but it was more than I felt I would have gotten just in a brief interaction,
Yeah, you're
snap a
probably
photo and
right
go.
because they really can because it is a limited number of guests, and to be fair, not everybody who's staying concierge will even show up for that, and so, I mean, most people will, but some people might have, a spa appointment or something else that they're doing at that time, and it's usually on one of the sort of if you have, like, 2 sea days, it's often on that 2nd sea
And
day.
that's when ours
Yeah,
was, yeah,
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 which
yeah.
that tracks, but I gotta ask, Andy, did you take advantage of the concierge benefit of going to, like, the theater early? I know you didn't get to do Tangled, but for the other shows,
For the
yeah,
other 2, yes, we did, Twice Charmed and Dreams? Yeah, Dreams, and I really I liked that. It was nice. We would meet in the Irish pub, O'Gill's pub, and take the back way in, have our popcorn, bring a drink from the concierge lounge, or, you could bring a soda from your room as well, and the first night we sat 5 rows up right in the center. And both my kids were in theater in high, or two of my kids were in theater in high school, and always said that was, 5 to 7 rows was the best place to sit. And so we sat in the best seats we could for both performances, and I liked being able to do that. It was nice. We kind of got to know the people that sat around
that's
us
how
before
direct
we go. Yeah,
yeah, the same
yeah,
kind of the same folks who like
exactly.
sort of the same spot. Yeah, I think it's a really nice benefit. It doesn't mean you get to go late. You still have to go to the theater early because, of course, they let you in before they open the back of the house doors to let everybody in. So it's about 35 minutes in advance of the show. But you're going to get into those seats very, very quickly as opposed to waiting outside the theater until they open the doors, for another, 10 or 15 minutes. So you certainly don't have to get there super early, but you obviously have to get there in time for that
Our
entrance.
show time at O'Gill's was 5:20 for the 6 o'clock show,
Oh, okay. So 40
and
minutes before. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I would say we were actually sitting in the seat by 5:30, so 30 minutes early, and they opened the doors pretty quickly afterwards. We weren't sitting there very long. The entertainment director would come and say a few words to us, and then they'd open the doors. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
and
was
that's
pretty quick.
pretty typical, and that's why so if you're sailing concierge and you take advantage of that benefit, like, you're not gonna have a lot of time to find a seat. You are let into the theater, you're given, like, 2 minutes to find a seat, and then they open the doors to everybody else, and then everybody else comes in, and like I've said on other shows, like, this is not the opportunity to save a row of seats for everybody else who's not in concierge. Like, you can save, like, maybe 1 or 2 seats if your family is, like, getting a drink or using the bathroom or something like that, but you're really not supposed to save seats out, in the Walt Disney Theater. So please, for the love of, please stop doing that, people. It's really other cruisers all, get mad at you because maybe they might have been waiting outside for an hour and they don't, yeah, it's not really a fair scenario if somebody's saving an entire row of seats. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the other concierge benefits since this was your first time sailing. You mentioned the lounge and having that availability. What did you think of like the food quality? the drinks in the lounge, the food, and the service in the lounge. Because I personally think that it's very high quality. I do think that they should maybe increase the hours of when you can get drinks in the lounge or increase the hours of the lounge. But obviously, that's a staffing issue. But I'm curious what you thought.
Well, I'll start with, since this is the only concierge lounge I've been in, I felt like it was a good size. There was an indoor section and kind of not really an out air
Open
section.
air, yeah.
Like, yeah, an open
This
air.
is the area where the magic falls flat, and, like, the wonder is the better of the 2 in that scenario, but, yeah, there's this open air part that it's got partial walls and kind of
It's
open
not a place to
window.
go sunbathe. It's to enjoy the sea air. We'll put it like that. The coffee was amazing. It was so good. I love the coffee machine. We went there every morning for coffee. And my husband, for every cruise we've done, even not even Disney, his habit has always been to order room service and get coffee in the morning and sit out on the balcony. And he didn't want to do that in this cruise. He was like, we're going to the concierge lounge because it was so good. And I felt like the food offerings were good on the Magic class. And I'm told the Fantasy and Dream, they don't have hot food. It's just cold food. But for me, for breakfast, it was perfect. It was just what I needed. We went and got churros on churro day, and we went for sit down breakfast one other time just to see what it was like. But I liked the concierge lounge for that.
Yeah, it's great. It's like basically your continental breakfast with, pastries and cereals and even, yeah, salmon, smoked salmon little yogurt parfaits and things like that are often available as well. So it's not a yeah, it's not a full, like, hot breakfast as you mentioned because they don't have hot items on yeah, Magic, Wonder, Dream, and Fantasy, it does not have hot breakfast or hot food in the lounge, but only on the Wish class is there hot food in the lounge, and actually on the Wish class, you can get, like, actual Mickey waffles in the lounge. Yeah, it's
That'd be
pretty
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice, yeah.
We'll see that some other time. But yeah, no, I liked, the afternoon, get a snack in the lounge. We did a few times go and have pool deck food. My husband would want to go get a piece of pizza. I did Daisy's Delight a few times to grab something, we'll say healthy. I had a salad a few times.
Right,
Uh,
healthy-ish, a
yeah,
wrap, a
healthy-ish.
salad. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we did that a few times, but it was nice to be able to go to the lounge to get a snack and know that there would be something there and we could get water to our heart's content and sodas if we needed a little pick me up that wasn't hot like coffee. I would agree. It would have been nice to have the bar open for a longer time, but it was sure enjoyable when it was open to have that. I noticed quite a few people would just come in, get a drink, and leave with their drink to either go to their dinner for early dinner or just go listen to music in one of the like the piano bar or something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a nice to have benefit. That way, you're not going to pay for your drink at the one of the lounges because you can go get your drink and then bring it to a lounge. At the same time, you're not going to have the musicians in the concierge lounge, so you still may want to venture. If you want just a quiet evening, it's a lovely place to sit all evening. But if you want to be in the hustle and bustle of the activity and things like that on board, you are going to have to sort of venture out.
and I did find that we went to the Soul Cat Lounge a few times and we went to Keys a few times, but we really didn't order near as many drinks as we would have had we not been able to just walk into the concierge lounge and get one. It was nice. Nice to be able to do that.
Absolutely. What did you think of the staff in the lounge? I think that's one of the areas where they really shine is that like that level of service overall. I mean, they're always, there's probably hits and misses in every department, but I'll be honest, I don't know that I've ever found a miss in the concierge department as far as quality of the servers, the bar staff and the hosts.
I felt like they were amazing. There were
Yeah.
four, and I cannot tell you the names of everyone. I do remember Raymond
Mhm.
and oh gosh, I feel like I wrote one of the other ones' names down. Carlos. Those are the two that I remember specifically.
Mhm.
They worked most often when we were in there.
Mhm.
But there was a woman, can't remember her name at all, but they were so nice, always generous. What can we do for you? Can I get you anything? How's your day going? Are you having any issues? Everybody was bend over backwards.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta ask, do you think it will be hard to go back to sailing non-concierge? I mean, it's a great benefit. It's also really expensive. Let's be fully honest. As comparatively, the price, anyway, everyone can do their own assessment of the worth it question, right? Like for some people, it's going to be worth it. For other people, it's not going to be worth it. For some people, it's going to be completely out of reach just based on the price tag alone. But do you think it'll be hard to sail back with the regular folk after
Yeah,
sailing
yeah.
concierge
My husband said with the muggles.
with the buckles?
But no, I think that we kind of talked about that a little bit, and we said when it's just the two of us and it's available and reasonable that we would like to sail concierge. But when we're sailing with another large group, it's just for us, for our where we are in our life, what we're thinking, it just doesn't make financial sense. I was looking at some of the cruises for 2020, summer 2027, and some of the concierge lounges were like $20,000, $18,000 for a room. And I'm going, I can get 3 rooms. Yeah, for 2 people. I can get 3 rooms and bring my whole family for that much. And I'd much rather do that when they're available to come with us. So that's where I'd say concierge wouldn't be worth it to us. But otherwise, it's fun. I definitely would enjoy it again for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, and I think the other balance is if let's say you were sailing with the rest of the family, you're not going to sail in concierge when the rest of them are not because then you're less likely to take it. I'm assuming you correct me if I'm wrong, but you're less likely to take advantage of that time to like just sit and enjoy the lounge because you're going to be like, oh, I want to hang out with the kids. I want to be doing stuff with them and watching them, hang out on the pool deck and things like that versus when you're just the two of you, you're like, "Oh, we're gonna take this leisurely. We're gonna sit in the lounge." Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I would say we spent several hours a day in the lounge. And we brought a little Yahtzee game along with us. So I loved that we had a table and we knew it was our table and it wasn't outside, it was inside in a nice place. And that was something that I have found on the other two ships. The cabana is Marceline Market type place is only open certain hours. So you can't always guarantee you're going to be able to go sit there. The lovely seating around the grand halls in the wish class ships is great, but you're not guaranteed you're going to get a seat there. And the others are bars and lounges, and you might be able to, but you don't necessarily want to disturb everyone around you playing a dice game.
Right. Well,
So it
and
was
and
nice
it
to be able.
might be that there's a big trivia or something going on, and then you're
Right.
being disturbed by their trivia
That's
game,
true.
right?
That's
Like,
true. So
yeah.
we liked having a place we knew we could go, we could play a game and not really bother anyone around us. Because usually I would say, unless there was something like when Goofy was there or the bar had just opened, the concierge was at most half full most of the time because people are in and out of there all day, as we were.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, people are often popping in for a drink or to like, whether that's a soft drink or an alcoholic drink or just to chat with the host to get something done, right? And then they leave. Not everybody is going to hang out in that space the whole time because there is so much, to do on the rest of the ship. Now, Andy, have we missed anything in terms of, other stuff that you guys did on board? I know this was a special celebration. I forgot to ask you, actually, I know what I missed. I missed asking you about Palo. You got to go to Palo 3 different times. You did prima notte, you did brunch, you did dinner. I got to ask, were they all thumbs up? Were some thumbs down? And then what was the standout amongst them?
I loved all of them. Prima Notte, there was not much difference between I went with my daughter on the Wish and I went with my husband this trip. The menu was very similar. I believe even the wines were the same. There might have been one or two different, but it was delicious. It was fabulous food, and you really kind of talk with people that come from different areas. And I met this nice girl that was sitting next to me, and she was knitting while we were there, crocheting, not knitting. I said knitting, and she goes, "No, I'm crocheting." But she made cute little door Mickeys.
Oh, fun.
I
Oh,
know.
for
And
those
she
watching on
figured out,
YouTube, Andy is showing. Yeah, so
she figured
Mickey's.
out where we were and brought us the one she was knitting, and I loved it. So yeah, I was like, "You need to sell these. These would sell on Etsy. I know they would because they were adorable." She doesn't, but she should. But we had a blast in there. The wine connoisseur for Palo was wonderfully knowledgeable. We actually did a class with him, a tasting. We did a couple of those during the cruise as well. Very friendly. The brunch, loved it. I had the Parmesan chicken and the lasagna. I couldn't finish both of them, but I had to get both. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to eat half of this and half of that. And I didn't even get a full half, but it was worth it. And my husband got the veal saltimbocca, and we were both kind of a little, my father was a dairy farmer growing up, and his best friend family owned a veal or a farm where they raised calves to be veal. And my dad would have nothing to do with veal for my entire life. So I tasted it for the first time on this cruise. And both of us were like, it was delicious, but I feel so guilty. I don't ever want to eat it again.
I will tell you, Andy, I don't eat veal, and it's not, I have tried it. I don't love it to begin with. I love steak. So it's not, I am a carnivore for sure, but there's just something about veal that it just seems wrong to eat like
It does.
a
I
young
know.
calf.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I'd never had it before. And my
Like, at
husband had
least let them
loved
have a
it.
good full life, and then
Yeah.
let's eat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband had loved veal before he met me. And then when my dad told him how they were raised, like, and how he had experienced it, we just hadn't eaten it for years and years and years. Well, I never had, but he hadn't. And he got it just because he was like, I got to try Palos. Let's see. Yeah. And it was good, but we're not going to do it again. Um, but yeah, it's, you leave Palo brunch going, oh, that was so good, but I'm so full.
Yeah, it's like, how am I ever
Yeah.
gonna eat again? And then, of course, 5 hours later, 6 hours later, you find
You're
room.
eating
You find
something else.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we went back for Palo dinner, we actually had the same server. We stole from, I think he was from Bulgaria or Croatia. I'd hate Bulgaria. Yes, he was from Bulgaria. And his son is actually going to college here in Ohio. And so that was kind of funny, Ohio, such a small world, but he was happy to have us again. And we kind of left Palo dinner so full. It was amazingly delicious. Of course, I had the agnolotti as my appetizer.
I love that agnolotti, Andy. Oh
Me
my
too.
god,
It's
it's
so
so
good, so
good.
good. And then we both got the tenderloin. I got the 6 ounce. My husband got the 8 ounce. And we decided that you could almost just order one to share of everything when it comes to Palo because you're so full by the time you leave.
Yes, and even if you
Yeah.
do, like, the price fix menu, it's so much food because you're still getting an appetizer, and the main and the dessert, like, it's still, and the portions are I mean, they're generous. Yeah, they're very, very generous and
Yeah,
just so good.
we ordered the steaks, and then I wanted the asparagus. My husband wanted the mushrooms for his steak, and then at the last minute he goes, "Oh, and I'll have some of the mashed potatoes as well." And they put that down, and there's enough there for an entire table of people. And oh my
Absolutely.
gosh, yeah, that
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
too much.
We try and do some I always order the price fix, and then Brian always orders a la carte. I always order the price fix because I like the smaller tenderloin, and that's one of the options on the price fix. But then we always add in a pasta course, And then Brian gets a main from, from off the a la carte menu, but then we share everything because it really is otherwise like way too much.
That is definitely what we will do in the future is do the sharing. Now, the last time that we had eaten a Palo dinner, we had there were 8 of us or something. We were a large crowd. And so when the little dishes were on the table, it didn't seem like as much food as it did when there were just 2 of us.
Yes,
So,
yes, because
yeah.
the more people you're sharing with, the more those vegetables, those sides that will get right. They get spread across. But when it's just 2 of you, I know I feel the same way because Brian and I, it's usually just the 2 of us if we're going to Palo dinner, and it's you gotta like rein back the ordering and figure out because it's just
What do
so
we
much.
really,
What do we
really,
really
really
want?
want?
Exactly.
Because yeah, I mean, I hurt after that meal. It was we went back to the room and because we were going to pack our bags and kind of work on that a little bit before we watched the last show of the evening, the Kiss Goodnight, but that's not what it's called on this ship.
See you real soon, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We literally just laid and watched a little TV going, "Oh, I don't want to get up. I don't know if I can get up." But it was worth every penny. So, yeah.
Now, which one would you say if you had to choose between them, right? Like, because Prima Notte, I know you've done twice, and it's it's wonderful every time. I don't know that you need to do it on every ship because it really is the same across the fleet. Like, it's one of those things where if you enjoy it, do it again, but expect it to be the same or substantially similar, right? But I'm curious, like, if you could only do one of them on like your next cruise, which one would you do, and which one would you say others should do? Is it brunch? Is it prima notte? Is it dinner?
I will say I've already booked Prima Notte for my next cruise.
Yeah. All right. So you're a
To
big
me,
fan.
kind of like you talked about the spa, the shave and getting something done that first day. There's just something about that the presentation of the wine, the appetizers, and the camaraderie around the table that says we're off on an adventure. This is a way to start a trip. And I wouldn't do it if we were sailing with my granddaughter, because I don't think it would be worth it then. I'd rather spend the time with her, see whatever else there is to do on the ship. But it was I love it. I just think it's fun. Whether I like dinner or brunch, oh gosh, that's like asking which is your favorite kid.
You're right. They're both so good.
They're both so good. I There's something about having dinner that I like. I like a nice candlelit, quiet dinner.
It's more romantic and calm for sure. The brunch is I actually I think I like the brunch food the best. I like them both. They're both great, but I think I like the brunch food the best, and I think it's the best value. I think that, brunch yeah. But, like, there's something nice and romantic and quiet about the dinner. You don't get that. I mean, not that it's not that loud during brunch, but it's still not quite
It's
as
more like a restaurant. It's not like the dining halls of the ship, but it's more like a restaurant than Palo at night feels. It feels very you feel secluded a little, and yeah. And I will say on the Magic, at least there's the big deck. So the Palo windows open up to a deck. And there were so many people who were coming and doing exercises right in front of the window. And I'm going, do they know that we can see them? Yeah, doing their stretches. And I was just like, it was an interesting view.
Yeah, you don't really
Yeah.
have that at night, yeah, but during the day, that's a good point. When you're having brunch, there might be a lot of people up there getting their workout in. All right, well, Andy, I've gotta ask you really an ultimate question because now you've sailed on the Magic and then you've sailed on Wish class, you've sailed on Treasure and Wish. We're not gonna do a full rapid fire because we've done a full rapid fire before, but we have to update the question of what's your
Right,
favorite
right.
ship.
I have a little comparisons.
Yeah, now you have some comparison between the Treasure, the Wish, and now the Magic, the first, the first in the fleet. Which ship resonates with you? Which ship would you, if you're going tomorrow, what ship would you want to be going on?
I love the Treasure. It's just a beautiful ship. There were so many things that I liked about the Magic. I liked the smaller size. I could tell, even though I was told that it was a sold out cruise, it did not feel as crowded as the Wish class ships do. But the Treasure is just beautiful. It's just such a ship. You walk in and you go, oh, this is what they must have felt like walking onto the Titanic back in, not the comparison of the sinking, but the grandeur of that grand hall is amazing. So I did like that, but I loved the intimacy of the Magic.
Yeah. I honestly think the Magic and the Wonder are so, I mean, they're such great ships, but I especially think they're great if you want that sort of more relaxing sailing. And when you're doing adult only, it's not that there's anything wrong with them for with kids. I mean, there's plenty to do for kids on those ships as well. But I think that intimacy of that smaller ship, the smaller cast, the smaller passenger count, all of that is great for that, sort of adult relaxing sailing. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Andy, I'm so thankful that you joined me again. This has been so wonderful. I'm glad that you had such a wonderful time celebrating your husband's birthday. I'm glad you enjoyed the luxuries of concierge and, of course, of the spa. I've got to ask, the question that Brian usually asks, which is, what's next? What have you got booked, and what are you eyeing, but maybe not have booked?
Oh, we've got a lot booked. I am eyeing one, but we've got a lot booked. We are going on the Fantasy in May, and that will actually be very close to our anniversary. So we're going to call it an anniversary cruise. We're going in the beginning of the month. Our anniversary is at the end of the month, but
That's an
yeah,
anniversary
yeah.
cruise. Just like this
And
one was your
then
husband's birthday cruise. It wasn't on his
right,
birthday, it's close to his
right,
birthday.
right. And that one we will also be in Concierge. So we're pretty excited about that. And then in June, I'm taking my daughter, my daughter-in-law, and my granddaughter on the Destiny.
Oh, girls only
Yeah,
on the
girls
Destiny.
only. I know, it's kind of funny, but my granddaughter, no, my daughter-in-law and my daughter both were very interested in getting on the Destiny to see what it was like. And when I booked the cruise, my son was supposed to be deployed. He's in the Army, and that changed. He's no longer going to be deployed, and so he's been kind of like, "Boy, I sure wish I could
I wish I
go."
could
And
go.
sorry,
Sorry, kid. That's
been booked for quite
it's
some time,
it's
and
girls
there's
only. I
no more
assume you've
rooms.
got one room for the
Yeah,
for the
one
4 of
room for the
you?
4 of
Yeah.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's not going. But, so we're gonna do that, and then we've got the DVC cruise
Nice.
is, coming
The Eu
up.
the European one in September?
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We are
fantastic.
doing that one. We're looking forward to it. I've already booked we're going over 3 days early and staying in London, so I'm excited. Yeah, it'll be
Oh,
a good cruise.
fantastic. Yeah. Is it the whole family or just you and your
No,
husband?
just my husband and I. Yeah, yeah. I
It's a bigger trip,
It is, it
and it's
is.
in
I didn't think
September,
it would be.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But then we do have another family cruise coming up. We're gonna do, Baja California over New Year's on the Wonder. I'm looking forward to that, yeah. We'll be going to Catalina and Ensenada, and the funny thing is my husband and I did that for our honeymoon, 30 plus years ago. Yeah, so I'm like, "This will be kinda fun, just go there again."
I'm doing a count here. We've got, that's 4 cruises, and are they on 4 different ships? I think they are, because the member cruise is the member
I
cruise
tell
on
you,
the
I'm a
the member cruise.
completionist.
Yeah, I think the member cruise is on the Dream, is that
It
right?
is, it's on the
Okay.
Dream,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
so 4 more sailings booked. You are going to actually, complete the ships by New Year's, not counting the
No.
adventure.
Well, yes, I will. My husband will still have to do the Wish. Yeah.
You will complete, just you, Andy, will complete the 7 sisters, the 7 dwarves, not count, and then, of course, not the adventure by the
I
end of
know, I know.
2026.
Which means
Wow.
in 2 years, I will have done all of them, yeah.
All of them, exactly. Which means then you'll have to eventually go over to Singapore to hit that
Well,
moon.
and yeah, that's true, but, we also when the new itineraries came out, we booked Alaska, on the Wonder, and that's where we had to do some really hard thinking, and as much as I just it pained me to have to pass up the DVC cruise for next year that's going to stop in San Francisco and whatnot. With doing, we already had the Baja California planned, and then doing Alaska, which we had been talking about for quite some time.
That's a lot of travel to the West Coast from Ohio. That's a lot of big trips, as well. I totally understand. It's, yeah, wow, you have a lot on tap, Andy. Well,
I know. We're a little nuts, but it's I really do ascribe to take the trip, enjoy those moments you can get in life because it's so fleeting. It goes by so quickly. I never in a million years imagined that I would have adult children and a grandchild and be the age I am. So, you go, okay, yeah, I want to have fun while we can and enjoy ourselves. And I think it's worth it.
yeah, and like you said, take the trip, travel while you're able to travel, while you have the funds to travel, right? Like, do all the things and enjoy the things that you enjoy, right? And if that's going on a Disney cruise, enjoy that. If that's doing something else, enjoy that.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And it's to me, it's just worth it to have those little joys in life. It lets you get through the harder stuff, easier. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much, Andy, for
thank
sharing
you.
your trip with us. Thank you for that piece of wisdom as well. And I'll just say,
Yeah,
I appreciate having you on. And obviously, you're welcome to come back anytime.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.